the longest time, it feels like in the aftermath of the Jake Gensel trade, you could lump Ville Koivunen and Vasily Ponomarev into the same bracket. They were the two names that came up most often as arriving from Carolina. They both have European names that are a little bit more of a challenge to remember. Both of them lefties when you're studying the film, both of them forwards. They could not be more different on the ice and off the ice. Good morning to you. Good Tuesday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is Daily Shot of Penguins. It comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into football and or baseball, I also offer daily shots of Steelers and Pirates in the same place that you found this. The Penguins are back at practice today up in Cranberry. They'll have another one tomorrow. And then, of course, they complete their season Thursday night against the Capitals at PPG Paints Arena. Ponomarev has played 6 total games in the NHL this season. He played a couple for the Hurricanes once upon a time. And what he focused on while in the AHL this season was becoming a more complete player. He put up 15 goals, 25 assists. He's shown that he can do some good things in the offensive zone. He hasn't shown that he's going to do great things in the offensive zone. And that will brand you, sometimes unfairly, as a bottom 6 forward prospect. If they don't see the scoring touch right away, if they don't see that extra step in the stride, that burst coming out of the corner, that vision, a lot of the stuff that we have seen from Koivunen, you're going to be labeled as a third liner or a fourth liner. That's just life in the NHL. The cases where somebody can come in as a third liner or fourth liner and work their way up, the way Brian Rust did, for example, those are rare. What Rusty did was really rare. Becoming a top line winger, first power play unit, skating alongside Sidney Crosby for years. That's not the norm. So if Ponomarev is going to make it here, it's not going to be in a scenario like we're seeing now with Koivunen and Rutger McGroarty. They come up, they're instantly put on the top 2 lines. You want to see what they got, want to give them opportunities. Ponomarev isn't going to get that. And you know what? For all intents and purposes, he doesn't need that because he needs to be able to take the defensive zone draws. He needs to be able to be that guy on the rink who can read the neutral zone properly. And by the way, he did that really well in the Boston game. And sure, just like we've seen from Kevin Hayes this year, you want to pump some in yourself. You want to not go without contributing to your team. That's just hockey instinct. Everybody wants to score a goal. Goalies want to score a goal. If there was one thing that had been bugging me about Ponomarev, and this goes back to watching him in training camp settings, practice settings, the handful of NHL games that he's played in Pittsburgh, it seems like he's waiting for the play to come to him. Now, that is not, as you'll hear me say directly to him, a criticism. That's so commonplace that it's almost cliched. Players will come up and think just because the puck comes to them, follows them around in the American League, that it's going to do the same thing in the NHL, when in fact it only does that in the NHL with the very best of the best. Ponomarev, you would watch him at times and say, just go and get it. Don't stand there thinking it's going to happen. It's not going to happen unless you make it happen. Well, I noticed him moving his feet more than I'd ever seen in this Boston game, and I brought that up with him. This is a fascinating individual with whom to have a conversation, and I look forward to talking about that in future episodes. But this was the talk that we had after that game against the Bruins on that subject. Really put a burst on there.
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask you about that in general. Do you feel like even the little time that you've been in the NHL, you understand that that there's got to be that little extra oomph to the skating?
Yes, I understand that I have to push not 120 or 40% over to get a spot for next year. Here, consistent spot, not like up and down for whole year. I'll do my best every game. Just one game left, and and then we have a hope long run in Wilkes playoff. That's important as well.
Have you found yourself moving your feet more in the NHL? I only asked it early in the season. It looked like you were kind of waiting for the play.
I can.
I'm not criticizing.
No. I can share that I'm actually, when I was in Wilkes, I started watching my games when I was 13, 14 years old. And when I was a kid, and I just wanted to see what kind of player I was when I was a kid, and compared to where I am right now. And I found for myself that I had really good points, but all these points was from grinding every time. And this maybe was a turning point in this year that yes, you have to play, but in my style of game, you have to grind twice more than other guys. Yeah, like 87. Yeah.
Now, one of those answers was what you expected, right? That's him. That's who he is. He's outrageously intelligent, insightful, imaginative in the way he expresses himself, particularly considering this is his second language. And if you didn't exactly pick up on what we were saying there at the end, I don't know that it would have translated all that well to just pure audio. When he was talking about grinding for his goals, when he was talking about making sure that he keeps doing that, I motioned with my right hand over to Sidney Crosby's stall that was right next to him, and he said, yeah, 87. Not because the kid thinks he's going to become Sid, but because the kid understands that there's honor in that grinding. There's a dignity to it. There's also a result that comes from it. If he can check off boxes that I feel are easily checked off, most of which I've already laid out for you, he's going to be a contributor, and he's going to be a contributor, meaning in Pittsburgh, sooner rather than later. And that is really good news for this organization, because I'm here to tell you there ain't a whole lot of centers going on in this system. When we come back, J1Q. This episode is brought to you by Bet Online, your number one source for all your summer sports needs this season, from Major League Baseball, golf, NHL, NBA playoffs. Get the latest odds and lines, including all team matchups, player props, odds on just about everything that's out there. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to get in on the action. Bet Online, where the game starts. Today's J1Q comes from Thomas over in Austria. He says, hi DK, how do you see the overall defensive play improving for the Pens next season? Yes, I am excited to see the young players coming up and showing a lot of promise, but I still see defending as the biggest problem this team has. It won't be easy to shuffle these defensemen as much as would be required. And since I agree with you that Mike Sullivan isn't going anywhere, what do you think he can do to improve the defensive play? Would he be willing to adapt his system? And if so, how and what could he do to make things better? My first thought, Thomas, when it comes to adapting the system to adjust for lousy defense men, is that you need to get better defense men before you start moving things around like crazy. Could Sullivan's system get tweaked more than it has? Yes. Has it been tweaked more than most people realize? Oh, absolutely yes. And that's going to be another episode. Going to put some time into this summer. There's a lot that's already been done. To me, I see a situation in which you've got, first off, and I think this is what you were referring to, Thomas, when you said that it won't be easy or maybe not even possible to shuffle the defenseman as much as would be required. That's because of bad contracts. That's because you've got guys locked up for a lot of money over a lot of years. Half of the active defense corps would fit that category. What's more, your two most prominent guys are coming off a season in which they were not good defensively overall. There was a stretch there for Carlson where he was terrific at both ends. I don't think it's coincidental that it was around the time he was really trying to ramp up to represent Sweden in the Four Nations after he had been embarrassed by someone who'd been in team management. That's not something to knock him for. That's just being human. Although I guess you could knock him for it if you wanted to, since the Penguins are the ones paying him. And Letang, I don't know that he even had a stretch. And he's always had stretches in the past where he would just get it all together and be that guy for maybe 20, 30 games, even longer. That didn't happen. And he's 37. And his performance has only gone more and more and more down as the season has gotten longer, to the point where I feel like he bottomed out Sunday against Boston. I thought, with respect to the remainder of his career, he was terrible. Indefensibly terrible. No pun intended. Graves has been that pretty much every day since he was acquired. I've liked Connor Timmins, but not enough to build a happy core around him. I've seen significant improvement in Matt Grzelcyk over how catastrophically he started out the season, but not enough to say, oh, we got to bring him back. And that's it. From there, I'm waiting for Harrison Brunick and Owen Pickering to come up. You'll have a couple of young guys that you can count on. Brunick, I'm not so sure right away. He's still going to be really young, and you'd want to see somebody at least make it through most of an AHL season before coming up. That's generally the unwritten rule when it comes to defensemen. And he's only been at that level now for about a week. You've got to look in Kyle Dubas's direction, is what I'm saying here. This is his chief challenge over the offseason. And as you're suggesting, it's so far ahead of all the other challenges that I can't even see goaltending on the radar when I'm looking at all the defensive issues. I appreciate the question. I appreciate everybody listening to Daily Shot of Penguins. And we'll be back with another one of these tomorrow.